I never unmuted my mic. Well. Oh well. Oh well, we're rolling into it anyway. This train don't stop. Alright. We're just gonna go. And then I'll talk about the outfit again later. Today is a mess. Today is a mess. It took me so long to wake up and have breakfast this morning. Today's just one of those days. It's just so cold. I'm a very squishy sheep, and changes in the temperature do horrible things to my bones. So, what were we doing? I think we're going to go with Nidana over here to the tower, which is horrifying. There goes all of my life, but it's okay. I'm a healer, I can fix it later. But yeah, we're making more progress in Endwalker today, and I am very excited because I've gotten some things spoiled for me. I know some things, and I'm a little scared for what happens past dungeon number 1. So that's something we'll discover together very soon. Actually, I think we might be able to get to the first dungeon today. I won't be streaming much longer than usual. Even though I don't think actually we might not have to start early for 14 streams anymore. Cause it should be easier. Head to the Tower of Zot. I thought that was the dungeon. I'm worried. Oh, it's a cutscene. Okay.
We should soon cross the threshold of the tower's influence. Any moment now.
Sorry, I'm drinking my cocoa.
It's working! And you are still yourself? Then I'd like to see how it fares closer to the tower if we could.
If you're sure. This is dangerous. I'm not about to unlock this dungeon right now, am I? I didn't even do the other half of the quest line yet.
So far, so good. The scale's protection appears to be holding. If we can just make it to the tower's entrance.
I don't know about that, Nadana. Ow. Trying to finish my cocoa before it goes cold.
A few more steps.
It worked.
Praise be to the sisters, we made it! And the scale has proven itself to be everything we hoped it would be. Now we can focus on production. Once we've equipped and returned with an entire survey team, this menace will soon give up its secrets.
Okay, come away from the entrance now, please.
What?
Well... You know, I tried to warn her, I really did. Poor Nadana. God, this place is creepy. Oh, well, there's Fandaniel.
Oh,
calm down. You'll only hurt yourself thrashing about like that.
Stop! Oh, you can't do this! Please!
No! Give her back.
A little late for heroics, I'm afraid.
Give that back.
The similarities are striking.
Similarities to what? Just give it back.
My! Such hostility! Never before has my artistry so displeased. My patrons of old would have positively squealed in delight, though, between you and me, I find gushing praise exhausting.
Patrons of old?
Allow me to tell you a story. Surely you've yet to hear the one about Van Daniel, the sundered Ascian. I inherited the position and the soul of the Van Daniel who sat on the convocation in the time of the final days, theoretically speaking. Practically speaking, that fact is of no consequence. I was born and lived as, well, me. Eventually, I was recruited into the Ascians and imbued with the former Van Daniel's knowledge and memories, but I never felt that they were truly a part of who I am. How to explain? Perhaps if I told you who I was before my Ascian embrace, although that chapter too is a past I've long since discarded.
Oh?
I have it on good authority you've poked your nose into an Allegan ruin or two. Yes?
Yeah.
Then I expect you've heard of me. The old me.
It's not gonna be someone from frickin' the Crystal Tower, right? Is it?
At your service.
No. 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 No.
Imagine a nation of unbridled prosperity. Every need met, day after day of unbroken, unshakable peace. Existence fulfilled
No.
and ripe for decay.
No.
You are a genius without peer, Amon. However do you conceive of such delightful experiments? That fool was beside himself with panic when he awoke with the head of a bull. Even his cries for help emerged as so much guttural lowing.
Well, that's just rude.
The memory of it. My poor sides. My friends and I were so consumed by laughter we struggled to breathe.
No more than entertainment for bored wastrels ignorant of its worth. My all-consuming work. But it was not their only indulgence. For they were ever hungry for stimulation. Slaves to the slightest hint that amusement was afoot.
Okay then.
Our nation was ailing, but I would see the poison purged. I resurrected a legend, our first and greatest emperor,
So it was your fault.
And just as I had planned, he set our wayward empire back on the path of conquest. An inexhaustible ambition carried us onwards, always onwards. Yet, he who delivered to us such glory was not to be satisfied.
Heed me, Armon. No matter how vast one's empire, or full one's treasure vault, all is rendered meaningless by death.
I mean,
In
that's a
the
bleak
end.
outlook, but okay.
All is lost.
You know as well as I that the Emperor stands to lose this war, and so I have come to claim you. For while your methods leave something to be desired, we cannot deny the results of your work. And as fortune would have it, the seat of Fandaniel, your rightful seat, lies vacant and waiting. Take your place amongst your peers, rather than die a pointless death amidst the ashes of your doomed nation. Send one of your clones to the Crystal Tower that you might see for yourself. See what lies ahead.
Okay, so that explains why there's a clone of Amon in the tower. If this one is claiming to be Amon himself. Oh, that's confusing, hurts my brain though.
The fall of the Empire affirmed the truth. Majestic and tragic, as the Emperor foresaw. Scheme as you like, build as you will, nothing endures. What is life but a brief jaunt ending in emptiness?
Okay then. Well, he's gone. So that's great.
So easily distracted. Why, I almost left without saying farewell. As for your friend, you needn't worry. These pawns are far more useful to me alive as fuel for the primals. If you attempt to pull them free, they will die. So, enjoy tackling that conundrum with your comrades. We shall meet again! Not in one of these minor spires, oh no, but somewhere more suitably grandiose. Your favorite playmate is ever so eager to see.
I'm not. I have more important things to do. Well, I'm sorry, Nidana. I'll be back for you. Ah, you have returned. But where is Mistress Nidana? Mansuya Preserve. Just when we had succeeded in making the talisman? I must report this at once. Meanwhile, please return to the great work. Pray return to the waking sands. Hi, Sanquid. Something's gone awry, hasn't it? What's happened? Well, bad things. So it was Fandaniel after all. Damn that bastard. Sure you wanted to do more, but you were right to return here first. I must tread warily lest we endanger Nidana and the other captives. Correct, but I don't like it. First, we must inform everyone of the situation, Nidana's colleagues included. Call them together for a gathering, but I think it would be best if you were the one to explain. I'm always the one that has to explain. Oh, Nidana. Can you answer me this? The Nidana is trapped in the tower. She's still alive, yes? Correct. Then we must make warding scales. As many as we can. The prototype works perfectly. This Nidana proved at peril to herself. So let us make more scales, that she and all those who are taken might be saved. Aye, as alchemist, this is how we will help win the fight. Well, at least they haven't given up. That's a good sign. My friends, the satrap has been made aware of the tragedy. He offers his heartfelt condolences and reiterates his pledge to provide you with all you require. To that end, he bade me give you this link pearl that he might personally discuss the production of the warding scales with you. Well, that's good. And for our Eorzean visitors, I bear an invitation. In her report, Mistress Nidana noted your vital contributions to the talisman's creation. This fact came to the satrap's attention, and in recognition of your deeds, he wishes to meet you. Hello, hello! Welcome, welcome. How are you doing today, Danny boy? In addition to thanking you in person, he would also discuss further avenues of collaboration. And so, if it is agreeable, will you not accompany me to Razathan for an audience with His Excellency? Sure. We should be honored, of course. Closer cooperation between our lands can only be to the benefit of all. Then it is settled. Please, come to the gates east of the Guineskull grounds, and I will show you into the city. Doing alright? Woke up too late, not too late to be here. Well, that's good. I'm doing good. Thank you. Yay. A nice little cozy Christmas sweater to get into the mood of the season. Where am I going? Very far away, it seems. This way, maybe? Whee! Oh boy. Those are some angry looking sodermergs? That's a weird name for a bird. I need it. Don't hit me. I need the save current, please. Okay, good. Whew. Gosh, that tower looks menacing in the distance. Whee! No, more Dommels. I don't get why Dommels are aggressive. Like, they're just so intimidating. I don't like them. And they're made of, like, a total of 3 polygons. You can get one as a mount, too, which is horrifying. Oh, I think this is the gate. I have arrived in one piece. When last I visited, the city was brimming with life. I expect the tower has dampened the mood somewhat. Yeah, understandable. All present? Then let us proceed. Owing to the threat of the tower, the city is currently in a state of high alert, and strict restrictions are in place for entry. Though you have been granted special permission, I ask that you remain close to me at all times. Yes, sir. Small child, that I still do not trust at all.
A vast rock squats upon Favnir, and to its stony surface clings the city of Rads at Han. Ye who enter here are subject to the scrutiny of gods, the gate's most watchful eye. The orb which beholdeth the truth of all things. Pass beneath its hot and piercing gaze, bearing down like a second midday sun. The fragrant haze, a mixture of sweet incense and acrid smoke. The cries of merchants mingled here with lively melodies accented by dancers' feet. Travelers seduced by vivid sound and colors were once swallowed up by patchwork streets.
Oh, that's from the treasure maps. You can do some treasure maps that have gates like that on them. And of course the place is pretty much empty.
But
right
no
now.
such scenes to savor now. To what somber present does that divine eye bear witness?
It's still very colorful.
Here we are, Megadota. It seems a shame to bring you here directly. Under normal circumstances, it would have been my pleasure to show you the sights.
It's okay, it's also like
And it would have been our
boring.
pleasure to see them. Alas, it seems our tour of the city will have to wait.
I'm afraid so. Come, we should head inside. Your Excellency, may I present our honored visitors?
Ah, splendid. Most splendid. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Ahawan, satrap of Radzatan. Our alchemists tell me your assistance was invaluable in the creation of the warding scale. Such deeds ought to be recognized in person. Thus did I have young Varshan convey you here forthwith. On behalf of my people, may I express to you our sincere gratitude.
Not everything went to plan, sadly.
I assume you speak of Nadana. A regrettable incident indeed. Her colleagues insist that we honor her wishes and trust in the talisman, that it will be instrumental in saving Nidana and the others. I am eager to hear your opinion on the matter, so let us not stand on ceremony. Come, sit.
Those are cozy looking chairs.
I think not. This charade has gone on long enough. Show yourself.
What's your problem, Mistinian?
Forgive me, but were you expecting musicians, perhaps? There are no performers waiting in the wings at present, but arrangements could be made if you'd prefer.
Nay, he hath the right of it. The time for artifice is past. Raise the curtain.
God?
As you wish.
I need to stop doing that every time there's a disembodied voice.
You travel as assistants to the students of Valdesian, but you are known to me.
Oh, hello, dragon.
Even here have we heard of the scions of the Seventh Dawn. I am Vritra, and for years uncounted hath this isle served as mine abode.
Okay.
Vritra, of the first brood, sibling to Hraesvelga and Nidhogg.
So you're an old dragon.
Mine elder brothers, of Midgard's Solma's spawn, I was last to hatch.
Well, isn't this a surprise? We were told Radzat Han had an alliance with a dragon. Not that a great worm sat in the satrap's own hall.
A necessary subterfuge, as the true tale of our nation history illustrates most effectively. In the beginning, the rock upon which our city is built was home to Vitra, and Vitra alone. In time, the ancestors of the Matanga came to the island and established a foothold. But never did they dare disturb the worm's lair. Next to arrive were the Aura. Adopting the example of their Akasodra allies, they too treated Vitra with reverence and respect. And for many years, an understanding between our forefathers and the Great Worm endured. Until marauding heroes from the mainland came, threatening to shatter our peace and tranquility.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
When it seemed all would be drowned in blood, Vitra himself came forth and quelled the rising conflict. A peaceful accord was reached, and oaths sworn in Vitra's name. Thus began the dragon's governance of the fledgling state, which was to grow into Radzat Han.
Okay.
But if Vritra is still here, then your position as satrap is just...
A charade, yes. And one which my family has performed faithfully for generations.
Many envy the great worms their power. Were it known that I ruled here, then the fires of war would burn without end.
That's fair.
I would not be the flame which consumeth my people. Those few who join me in laying our country's foundations were, perforce, sworn to secrecy.
Understandable.
Your eye. It was taken.
Uh-oh.
'Tis here, buried within the
I
semblance
knew
of
it!
flesh.
I knew it!
The body before thee
I knew
is
he
but
was
a
weird.
simulacrum, constructed by the finest artisans
He was the dragon the whole
of Radzat
time.
Han. With mine eye nestled within, it doth serve as an inconspicuous vessel for my wind.
I knew he was weird.
That would explain why I felt the presence of a dragon upon our first meeting.
I am woven with wards fashioned to deceive such arcane senses. Though 'twas short-lived, it seemeth thy fusion with my brother hath left thee much altered. Estinian warm blood. From the very first, we sensed the nature of one another. Yet did neither one of us bear his fangs. That is all I need know of thee for now.
With my secret thus revealed, I have for you a proposal. Not as a worm of the first brood, but as the ruler of Radz at Harn. With all haste must we take in hand the finished talismans and breach this foul spire. Thence, should it lay within our power, dispel its wicked influence. Yet even with the assurance of the warding scales, the narrow confines of the tower doth limit the size of our force.
And thus denied strength in numbers, thou must choose thy soldiers with care.
Just so. Yet though our radiant host is formidable, I see a sure path before me. Thou and thy comrades have contended with a multitude of primal beings. Most recently, thou didst cast down false gods in Pagalthan and Cartanau, I am told.
Yeah.
'Tis upon that strength I would call. The Scions have proven themselves the most capable, and I ask that you serve as the tip of our spear.
If it's primals that need killing,
Talismans
I'm
would,
willing
of
for the job.
course, be provided for each of thy companions.
Feels like an audiobook now.
And should you
Yeah, there's gonna be
agree to this
mostly story.
undertaking, more will be provided to make use of as you see fit.
It starts off slow, but it snowballs real quick.
There's no denying it's a dangerous proposition, but the rewards may far outweigh the risk. Just think of what we might accomplish if we could equip all our allies with warding scales.
If what I've heard is true, after
I
the
worry, however,
first
that even
trial
the
in
four of us
83,
may be too few for what you have in
everything
mind.
just kind of
Might we
doesn't
regroup with our
stop
friends
going.
first to discuss the matter?
'Tis no trifling task that I have laid before you. Go, steel your hearts and hone your plans. Such time as you require shall be spent in crafting your protective charms.
Good, because I have a whole nother quest line to deal with before we can
It seems
do
a quick
that
trip back to
dungeon.
Charlian is in order.
Oh, there he goes.
Wilt thou not lend thine aid?
Whether your request be made as a great worm or the ruler of Radz at Harn, I see no reason to refuse, nor will I.
I am in thy debt.
He's just socially awkward and doesn't know how to leave a conversation without literally leaving. Alright, heading back. Alright. Yeah, I've already got... I'm not allowed into the city proper, but I do have that one and that one. Everything else is unavailable to me. Oh, I need to make that... I need to make Charlian my home destination. think I forgot to add the espresso powder to my hot chocolate. Now it's just made me tired. Alright, team number 2, hitting the books. An unsettling change has come over Charlene, but together we will divine the underlying cause of the forum's callousness. As I mentioned before, however, questioning the counselors directly is a fruitless endeavor. They seem to have already come to a consensus as to what, and how little, they are willing to divulge. Which is why I began scouring Charlene's archive of historical records for any hint of a connection to the final days. Suffice it to say that progress has been slow. There are only so many dusty pages one can skim in a day. Now that I have this band of willing reinforcements, the search should proceed all the swifter. Let us reconvene outside the Numenon, shall we? Exit the annex to the right, and you'll find the archives on the western edge of the woods. Okay. Nerd squad, roll out! So one quest line was about visiting a new land, and this one is about reading books. Got it. Whee! Reapply my glamour again. Now that I'm in a city-state. Alright, what books am I looking for, crowd? My directions were easy enough to follow, I hope. In any case, you should stand now before the doors of Numenon, Charlene's greatest collection of books and tomes. This building is actually only an entrance, and one of many at that, for the archives of the Numenon extend deep beneath the surface like the roots of a tree. The vast halls of the Great Cabal Library pale in comparison to Numenon's endless maze of subterranean chambers. Any citizen of Charlene is free to enter and peruse its shelves. Well, most of its shelves. Only Archons are afforded access to certain restricted vaults. I've dispatched you Stola and Raha to investigate those. Meanwhile, Alice and Elfino will help me continue my search through the stacks open to the general public. Your status presents more of a problem. As a non-citizen, you are only permitted to browse the first floor here at the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books which touch upon Charlene history or foreign policy. Your task will be to find and study the relevant publications. I promise you, a working knowledge of those subjects will make it far easier to spot the sort of clues we're looking for. Let us be about it, shall we? I've told the others to meet us at the stone benches over there once they've found some promising tomes. Happy reading! Oh, this is gonna be... Docky reads books out loud for 20 minutes, isn't it? Alright. The story of Charlene. Long, long ago, on an island in the northern sea, there lived a Rogadan man by the name of Nuncrumph. Nuncrumph was a student of astrology, and he divined that a flood of terrifying proportions would soon sweep over the lands of Eorzea. So it was that he built a gigantic ship, assembled a crew, and set sail for that imperiled realm. The flood arrived as foretold, and to their horror, the strangely churning waters drove the people towards the ocean. It was there, however, that Ukrim's crew hauled them aboard his ark, but the danger had not passed. The towering wave approached, threatening to smash the vessel to pieces. With only moments to spare, Unkrim wove an almighty spell of transportation and shifted the entire ship safely atop Alabathia's spine. Refugees from the surrounding regions huddled there alongside them, but it was not long before disputes over a dwindling supply of food led to violence and bloodshed. Saddened by the sight, Unkrim gathered his crew and grateful passengers and abandoned the ark to those reddened peaks. They journeyed to the coast, where they built a new ship, intent upon returning to the northern seas. They landed on the beach of an island and settled upon that very spot. That settlement prospered and grew, and, in time, it became the city of Charlayan we live in to this day. Interesting. Hydrate? I will hydrate. I still have a little bit of hot chocolate left. Red-covered book. Roads of Old. The Colony. Many years ago, on the banks of the Thaliac and the Durranian hinterlands, a Charlayan colony once thrived. This settlement was originally established as a mere outpost to study the Aetherial Sea in the year 1311 of the 6th Astral Era. Scholars, dispatched to Eorzea, found the facilities wanting, and their demands encouraged a gradual expansion in structures and services. As rumors spread of a growing community of academics, the area was further inundated with Eorzean students, hoping to share in the renowned wisdom of the Charlayans. 50 years later, the Forum passed a motion to recognize what had become a flourishing town as an official Charlayan colony. Eorzean residents took to calling the colony itself Charlayan, which led to no small amount of confusion when discussions turned to the subject of the motherland. In response, some Charlayan inhabitants, if pressed for a name, would simply refer to it as Emporium. Following the Great Exodus, however, goblins and treasure hunters claimed them for themselves a corner of the abandoned colony and gave it yet another name, Idleshire. The following chapters go on to introduce the most prominent features of Idleshire. This book does not, however, appear to contain additional information in the forum, or cover the history of Charlayan Motherland in greater detail. Okay, so I only need to pick up books that address Charlayan directly. Got it. The Voice of a Growing City. Probably not. An Introduction to the Heavens. Probably not. Forever 20 Summers. Probably not. Stewards of Wisdom. That sounds promising. During the chaos of the 6th Umbral Calamity, Archon Ukrim, founder of Charlayan, bore witness to the madness and savagery of men, brought to the brink of despair. Upon raising a settlement on an island in the northern empty, he instructed his people thus: renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason. The Charlayans took to heart the words of their savior, and thenceforth served as stewards of wisdom. Upon a foundation of accumulated learning, they built a homeland unlike any other, a nation born from strength of minds rather than strength of arms. With knowledge of economics came shrewd trading. With knowledge of agriculture came bountiful crops. Engineering brought wells and sewers, ending squabbles over water. Wealth of expertise could be bartered for wealth in coin, and the more their wisdom spread throughout the world, the more mankind as a whole would thrive. And And so it was that no matter the trials and tribulations of the age, the citizens of Charlayan would live by their founder's teachings. For the sake of a better tomorrow, for the sake of a brighter star, they would eschew the tools of war, and with knowledge deliver the world. Okay. Alright, so one of the other books has to be it. Seems like all the well-worn ones are correct, so let's try this one. Forever 20 Summers. My beloved seekers of knowledge, have you ever put learning before your health and neglected to feed and rest your body as you should? I, too, once engaged in such foolish practices, but one night, engrossed in my philosophical study, I had an epiphany. For all the world's mysteries that drive us to reckless abandon, we have so very few years of life in which to achieve our goals. Thus do I share with you this mantra: I am forever 20 summers young. The number itself is unimportant. You could be 19, or 23, or 40. Whatever age you are when you discover this manual, let that be the age you aspire to remain. Through mindful, healthy living, you will extend the time available to spend upon your chosen research. Another day, another moon, another summer to grasp the greater truths you pursue. In the pages that follow, we will explore the secrets of maintaining one's physical condition from a biological, ethereological, and arcane viewpoint. This book is on the wrong subject. Okay. What about this one then? Nope, I read that one. So, must be the blue one then? An Introduction to the Heavens. Have you ever gazed at the skies above and contemplated the mysteries contained therein? I speak not of shifting cloud patterns, but of the vastness beyond, of the sun and the twinkling tapestry of the night. Some think the dome above us to be a finite space, yet amongst the leading thinkers of our age, one scholar's depiction of a boundless sea of stars has firmly taken root. Alas, this heavenly sea remains an unreachable, unknowable destination. There are very few indeed who can explain in satisfactory detail why our own star is believed to revolve around the sun. It was the technologists of Alec who came closest to understanding the laws which govern the starry abyss. It was they who launched Alamud and sought to expand beyond our earthbound existence. Having read of their ancient ambitions, I wonder, has your interest in this field of study waxed or waned? What if I were to tell you that the eternal constellations were arranged differently in the distant past, that their positions continue to shift almost imperceptibly but measurably as we journey into the future? Would it shock you to learn that the stars drift further and further apart, and may indeed do so forever? Are you eager to learn more? Wrong subject. Alright, I have read every wrong book in this library. I'm willing to bet. No, not the NPC. The Voice of a Growing City. This might be it, I guess. In the years which followed the founding of Charlayan, civic policy and other matters of import were decided at the Ecclesia, a public forum at which every citizen was eligible to speak. As the city's population grew, however, This format became increasingly impractical. The larger number of participants gave rise to ever longer debates, resulting in significant delays of vital resolutions. Various measures were introduced in an attempt to curtail protracted discussions, but in the year 201 of the 6th Astral Era, it was ultimately decreed that Charlayan would transition to a new form of government. The nation would now be led by a body of 99 members, citizens chosen from amongst their peers by means of nationwide vote. This, thus, was the Forum as we know it today, conceived and created. Okay. All done. Whee! Okay, I read all the dusty old books. What do now? Ah, we wait. We wait for more people to show up and tell me what to do. As usual. Here they come. Sorry, were you waiting long? I wanted to make sure I'd borrowed at least a few promising tomes. Alphino and Kryle should be along shortly. I was delayed in similar fashion. As far as I could see, no titles in the Archon stacks mentioned the final days specifically, so we have no choice but to start with the tangentially relevant tomes, if they are even that. At present, the plan is to skim through as quickly as we dare, and share our discoveries as we make them. Would have been nice to invite everyone to the estate, plenty of comfortable places to read, and a ready supply of hot tea. Oh, I was always quite fond of reading outside. But it's not about the little pleasures, is it? You miss your home. It's been difficult. After our arrival, we managed to speak with one of the family servants and ask how things were. It seems our dear father has instructed the staff that even if Alphino and I were returned to Charlayan, we were not to be allowed to cross the threshold. That's rude. Their poor mom. A harsh measure indeed. I hope that our efforts to understand his position, and that of the Forum, will perhaps lead to a reconciliation. We'll mend this rift one day, I'm sure of it. And what of you, Graha? Have you been to visit your family, or do they not live here in the city? Ah, well, my situation is also somewhat complicated. I was raised in Charlayan, yes, but I was born rather farther away. In the southern reaches of Ilsabard, in fact. For generations, my people have dwelt in Corvos, coastal region opposite of the island of Thadner. The Elegans founded a city in that fertile land, and by ship, brought in subjugated tribes of the Mikote to serve as laborers. Of course, the massive earthquakes of the Fourth Umbral Calamity brought an end to the Empire's reign, and when the Fifth Calamity froze the seas solid, many of the tribes still living in Corvos braved the journey back to Eorzea. My ancestors, however, chose to remain, that they might prevent the remnants of Allegan technology from being misused. Isn't Corvos under Garlean rule? For the past 50 years, yes. And some semblance of local culture remains, as is the case for most imperial provinces, but Garlemald renamed the region Lucas Amoenus. When I was a boy, a nearby town came under the jurisdiction of an illustrious imperial family, the nobles of House Darnus. Yikes. House Darnus demonstrated a singular interest in Allegan civilization, and so my tribe was forced to consider a plan of action. For some time already, voices had been raised in favor of abandoning our ancient customs. After all, the Allegan Eye no longer passed to our eldest children as reliably as it once had. Fear of discovery eventually tipped the scales. The decision was made to bury our ties to the knowledge and traditions of Alec. As the last child born with the elegant eye, I was given over to the custody of friends in the studios of Baldazian, who had me registered as a Charlayan citizen. I never even considered. Forgive me, it was an unkind question. Even Thancred was taken in by Archon Louis Sois, was he not? Stories of adopted waifs and rescued orphans are more common among Charlayans than you might think. Yet, regardless of our origins, not organs, dear Lord, we are all provided with an equal opportunity to learn, and with sufficient... I don't know what that word is. We outsiders can even earn the vaunted title of Archon. It is exactly why I have such love for this country, and why I wish it to remain a nation of which its citizens can be proud. Hear, hear! Another good reason to get to the bottom of the foreign stubbornness, aside from the trifling matter of our impending doom. Excuse us while we try to make some headway into these books, Rilla. More company should be arriving at any moment now. Or you could give me some books to read. I can read books. Crunchy bones. We've returned with our selections. Although I must say, the pickings were quite slim indeed. Mrs. Kyle has already flicked through every history book devoted to disasters, more than a few which barely made mention of them. As such, we will be looking into research papers on the Umbral calamities, as well as articles written by prominent forum members. Perhaps their knowledge of the final days comes from an unexpected source. Speaking of which, might I ask you a few questions related to the final days? I'm the only one here who didn't witness the events of Amaral firsthand, and I fear I may be overlooking critical details. Sure. My thanks. Now, where to begin? I wish I could just open up my echo and let her see. First things first, what kind of phenomena do the ancients encounter as the final days drew nigh? Complete destabilization of creation magics. Yes, the unfolding catastrophe wrought havoc on all matter of life. The chaos extended to the ancients themselves, causing their powers of creation to spiral out of control. Fear and despair manifested in terrible, tangible fashion. Meteors raining from the sky, fire erupting from the ground, indescribable abominations prowling the streets. That more or less aligns with my understanding. If only arts of creation had survived into the present day, we might have had something substantial to analyze. Indeed. To the best of our knowledge, however, those techniques were not preserved or passed on. Escholus surmises that the closest magic is that of the summoning rituals promulgated by the Asians. Was there aught else of note which heralded the approach of the final days? They say it began with a keening sound from the land itself. Ah, yes, the Almerodians spoke of it, didn't they? We never did hear this sound ourselves, of course, thrust as we were into the midst of the madness. But it seems that each and every one of these catastrophes was preceded by this ominous noise. Eventually it resounded all across the star, and not even Almero was spared. So the ground was crying out, you say? To be considered the harbinger of doom, it must be quite distinctive. Probably quite loud. Yeah, probably. Last but not least, would you describe how the ancients sought to quell this unprecedented calamity? What definitive action did they take? They summoned Zodiac. I have aced this quiz. Something that is both possible and reasonable to want to achieve. Yes, with Elidibus serving as his heart. So many gave themselves in sacrifice to bring him into being. We do not know exactly how Zodiac brought salvation to the star, only that by his godlike will were the laws of nature set aright. Then, once the balance was readjusted, the ancients offered up a further sacrifice to heal the ravages of the final days. Lives sprouted anew, and it was these fledgling souls they intended to render unto Zodiac, a trade that would have allowed them to resurrect the shades of loved ones absorbed by the primal. Or might have, had Venat and her fellows not manifested their opposition in the form of Heidelin. Thank you, both of you, for the detailed review. I feel much more confident now in my understanding of events. With all that freshly in mind, it does make me wonder what the Telophori truly mean when they speak of bringing back the final days. We've seen what they're doing with those towers of theirs. Is it forcing people to summon primals as a kind of catalyst? Are they attempting to mirror the conditions caused by unstable creation magics? Could be. Or are they simply using the final days as a figure of speech? A convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction they plan to unleash. But this is all just pointless conjecture at this stage. Let us return to our attention to the forum, shall we? We should keep an eye out for Ishtola, but it's just time we began studying these research papers. Yes, sir. And one last person to arrive. Now. If most of this is unvoiced cutscenes, I might have to call it early, because my throat already hurts. I've been doing almost nothing but talking this entire hour. I'm the last, am I? Well, my extended search of the Archon stacks produced one or two possibly useful books. But I wouldn't get my hopes up. If you recall, Horion J learned of the source's reflections from the Garen oracles. For its potential to cause panic and confusion, that tome was deemed apocrypha and sealed away inside the Great Global Library. This is even less likely that the knowledge of the unsundered world, not to mention the horrors of the final days, would be left sitting on a shelf for any curious scholar to find. Stands to reason then that my colleagues, be they Archons or counselors, should perforce be largely ignorant of the subjects. Unfortunate that a lot of these cutscenes have no voice dialogue. Yeah, it seems to only be like the earlier sections where there's 2 quest lines you have to do, but hopefully the later stuff will be voiced. It's been nice listening to you read it while doing chores. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it so far. If I had known there was this much reading, though, I would have prepared, like, something to soothe my throat with. I might actually, after this cutscene, go grab some more water. Yet when you confronted Master Fortunel with the knowledge of the Telophori and their machinations, he scoffed at the suggestion that they posed a threat. He seemed adamant that the Forum would know if the final days were truly upon us. Which only supports the conclusion that whatever privileged wisdom is guiding the Forum's behavior, it is being kept secret from the rest of the nation. Not that I mean to excuse myself from reading duty. Whether they contain mention of the final days or no, these books could yet hold something of value. You weren't thinking of leaving, were you? There's plenty of work for everyone. Thanks, Jola. It's so snowy. You labor for feels like an age as Ishtola's research assistant. Understandable. Alright, I will be right back. Just give me one moment. I will leave you with the ambiance of the game. Boop. 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 There we go. One sec. Okay, there we go. All better. I have more water now. Alright, what's up, Cryle? Oh dear, you look exhausted. What about your studies? Were you able to find any books on the subjects I mentioned? Kind of. Give me those feet. Hey, what's up, Alice? Ready for a tea break, Rayla? I know I am. Honestly, my neck and shoulders are going to calcify if I don't stretch my legs and walk around a bit. You know the last stand down in the harbor, don't you? Come and meet me near the outside tables, and I'll treat you to their coffee. It's quite good. Thank you. Let me just... I have a fruit lozenge, just in case. I'm not sick, but they're not medicated lozenges anyway. It should just help the soreness. Time to go get some coffee. Whee! Oh boy. Time to ask the people what they think of the calamity. What? What? What is it? Can a man not enjoy a moment of private respite? If you're looking to share a table, then respectfully request that you look outside. You misunderstand, sir. I was simply wondering if you knew of the Telophoroi. These enemies of peace have promised an end to all we hold dear, and... Wait, you're that House Leveilleur girl, aren't you? This one with you is obviously a foreigner. I'd heard you were disowned for helping outsiders indulge their barbaric whims, and here you are, giving truth to the rumor. Well, thank you to leave me be. I have naught to say to the likes of you. Well, that was rude. Yes? I don't believe I've had the pleasure. Pray excuse the interruption, but we were hoping you might share your thoughts on the Telophoroi and their unconscionable plans. My goodness, if it isn't the young Miss Leveilleur. Apologies, but I work in the offices of the Forum, and if word reached Master Fortunello that I was helping you... I see. We're sorry to have bothered you. No. Why is his name Dickon? Why is that his name? Welcome, madam. What can I offer you today? Wait, is that Mr. Salisay I see there? My word, how long has it been? Far too long. Meet Dickon, the owner of The Last Stand. I used to frequent his cafe on occasion, in between lessons at the studium. Seems like an age ago now. Remember hearing that you and Master Alphino had set sail for Eorzea, but then you never came back. Lately there's been gossip about your father disowning the pair of you. Everything alright at home? It's complicated. I hadn't expected complete strangers to be so familiar with their situation quite so quickly. Everyone has an opinion, it seems. Well, it is House Leveilleur. No matter how discreet Master Pochinel may have been, news of your family's doings never stay a secret for long. Things being what they are, what brings you back to the city now, of all times? You have questions, and only Charlayan has the answers. Tell me, Master Dickon. Hate that. Have you heard anything about an apocalypse called the Final Days? What, like the end of the world? Nothing like that, I'm afraid. And that's what you're here to find? Information on this apocalypse? Yes, whatever we can learn. Unfortunately, your patrons appear to be as unwilling to speak to me. Yeah, that is a little bit of a problem. I wish there was more I could do to help. But maybe there is. You're a visitor to Charlayan, aren't you? Then few will know your face. We should be able to pass you off as a server with none the wiser. We just finished preparing a few orders. Strike up some friendly conversation while you're setting down the food, and you might just get the answers you're looking for. Not a bad idea. I hate to ask, but what do you think? I might as well. As long as I don't spill anything on my very nice white dress. That's the spirit. Pay attention now, and I'll explain where each of these dishes go. Tea set is for the chatty group sitting by water's edge. Omelette is for one of our regulars, Highlander by the name of Gilsa. She's sitting at an outside table with a friend of hers. Behind them, you should see a Makote gentleman. He ordered the oven-baked lobster. Got all that? If you're not sure, I'll just ask and I'll explain again. Good luck! I have already forgotten everything you told me. Tea set? Oh, my tea set. Lovely, thank you. The Talafa who? Sorry, I've never heard of them, or their final days. My friends and I are somewhat uninformed when it comes to current events. Now, you want to hear about a ritual arcane practices of the 6th Astral Era, common or esoteric, then I'd be happy to talk your ear off. I would love to hear about that, actually. Unironically. Tell me. Here's your omelet. Ah, finally. 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's dig in. No time to waste. What? The Talafaran? Ah, yes. I remember seeing their name in the latest gazette. That and some grand claim about the end of days. Same old senseless warmongering. When will these fools grow tired of spilling each other's blood? Best stay out of it, I say. Forum made the right choice, and I fully support our decision to remain neutral. Fair enough. Here's your lobster. What will you serve? The correct choice, or urbane banter with a smile. Give him his lobster, so he'll talk to us. Alas, the oven-baked lobster is mine. You've no idea how long I've scrimped and saved and suffered to afford this heavenly dish. Final days? This is the first I've heard of it. Though that would explain why my friend has been rushed off his feet. Must be a busy time to be a gleaner. You don't know what a gleaner is? They're collectors of a sort. Travel the world procuring things that we haven't got here in Charlayan. Priceless books, unusual life specimens, and so forth. So named for those folk who trail after the reapers in the fields, picking up every grain which is missed. Aye, by all accounts, gleaning is a most meticulous and demanding profession. These Telofori make good on their audacious starts, then many uncatalogued rarities could be lost forever. Why else would the gleaners be buzzing about in such a frenzy? Lift's the harbor, and you'll see what I mean. They're carting in loads from docks all day. It's never been this hectic before, not like this. Interesting. So they've got essentially gophers grabbing everything they can get their hands on. Any trouble with the customers? No. Except there's a bunch of people running around collecting everything they can get their hands on. Even Dickon had nothing to offer, and he's the best source of gossip in the city. Give me coffee. Sip.
When our father disowned us, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't until much later that his words began to sink in, that I began to feel the weight of what it meant. Do you remember when the decision was made to come to Sharlayan? Grahas said that the Forum was determined to keep us in the dark, and that Father's venomous performance was part of that strategy, to keep us at arm's length. Perhaps it was. Father argued with Grandfather on many occasions, but never with such dismissive contempt. And when he demanded what justifies the sacrifices we make in war, I honestly didn't know what to say. Neither did Alpha know, I know, but never for one moment did I believe we had made the wrong choice. So all I could do was fume silently. It was only afterwards that I realized how childish I had been, how being stubborn and self-righteous must run in the family. If I could have just mustered a civil response, then things might have turned out differently.
You can't think that way, bud. That's a lot of boxes.
They must be ferrying goods to Labyrinthos. A vast complex beneath the island. Sharlayan is famous for archiving knowledge from around the world. Well, that knowledge is not preserved exclusively in dusty tomes and desiccated samples. Our living library, comprised of all manner of flora and fauna, is housed and studied within that underground facility. Still, that did seem to be an unusually large shipment. When I lived here, it was rare to even see such cargo transported by boat. Wait, didn't you hear something in the last stand about the gleaners coming and going more than usual? Well, I think they're the ones we saw manning those boats. And gleaners answer to the Forum. If the appearance of the Telophoroi prompted this sudden burst of activity, then Labyrinthos may hold a clue as to what the Forum is planning.
That's a fair assumption to make, yeah. We should tell the others what we've learned about the Gleaners. Go ahead to Numenon, and I'll join you in a moment. Master Dickon will want his cup back. I still hate that that's his name. Just saying. There is a dude name. This man's name is Husband Materia. I wonder what people are looking at over here. Anyway, we're not going back to the annex. We have to go all the way back to where everyone's reading their books, like the nerds that they are. While we have information. Welcome back, Rayla. Been for a walk and cleared your head, have you? Well, more than that. We've discovered something very important and we'd like to go check it out. It makes sense. These Gleaners take their requests directly from institutions and bureaucrats, but as you say, they ultimately answer to the Forum. A sudden and significant increase in Gleaner traffic and cargo certainly gives the impression of an overarching plan being put into motion. Let us see what theory we can build from the facts. As Ishtola observed earlier, Numenon's archives appear to contain no information concerning the final days. Coupled with what Rayla and Alice learned at the Last Stand, we can be reasonably sure that most Charlanes know nothing of that particular period of ancient history. Yet my father and his colleagues are not only familiar with the final days, but are also somehow certain that the destruction being perpetuated by the Telophora is wholly unlike these apocalyptic events. Moreover, the Forum claims to be so occupied with a duty of such pressing importance that they saw fit to unanimously deny Eorzea's request for aid. And now the Gleaners, official agents of the state, have been mobilized on an unprecedented scale. Indeed. I do not think it a stretch to conclude that the Gleaners' recent activities are in service to the Forum's secret events. In which case, our next course of action seems obvious. We visit Labyrinthos and assess the situation for ourselves. And if we're lucky, the Gleaners will be far more receptive to our questions. And what should we expect down there? Oh, I would hate to spoil the surprise. As for myself, there are a few more subjects I should like to research. I may join you later, but feel free to leave behind your borrowed books and be on your way. I'll see to it that each is returned to its proper place. That would be a great help. Thank you, Raha. Let's head down the stairs over there, and I'll show you where the entrance is. Follow Alice and try not to fall behind. Okay. No. No. This is torture. Now we run, try to keep up. Okay. That's better. I don't know what the range on this is. I don't want her to reset. I probably shouldn't have blown my sprint. Up where? Alright, where... Why are you taking me to some weird back entrance? Oh. Through this door and down the stairs. Yes, I did attune to the shard. Keep moving then, alright. Hello. We're all here now, yes? I've taken the liberty of securing permission for our group's descent. Right, everyone into the lift and down we go.
Deep beneath the scholar's city shines a false sun within a fabricated sky. In any age exist those who consider the floor an extension of their bookshelves, and this vault's architects surely belonged to that special breed. If the stack grows too high, start a new one. If no room remains, then make more rooms. A simple solution at first, and then bit by bit, a profound transformation.
Oh, look at the little sheep.
Knowledge, buried beneath knowledge, a growing, creeping labyrinth from which there is no escape.
Okay then, Emmett. No need to be weird about it.
Not what you expected. I must admit, the artifice is very convincing. But I assure you that we are beneath Sharlayan itself. The breeze you feel, the flowing waters you hear, all created by the hand of man.
The island is volcanic, you see, and once upon a time this great hollow must have been a reservoir for magma. It was discovered some 400 years ago, at which point it was repurposed as a storage facility for scrolls and samples and such. Renovations have continued, with nigh on no interruption to this day, with the lower levels still undergoing expansion.
That's pretty cool.
Aren't those people gleaners?
Aye, judging by their dress. They are said to work alone as a rule, but 'twould seem that rule is being enthusiastically broken today. It may be as you suspected, that they are engaged in a task apart from the norm.
Let's spread out and get some answers then.
Ugh.
Good there, Cryo?
Did you call to me just now?
No.
No. How odd. I must be a bit dizzy from the descent. I'll be fine, I'm sure. Let's get to work, shall we?
Mary Chrysler.
Mary Chrysler. You want to know what I'm doing? Hauling books and ore and fauna. If it needs hauling, I haul it. No,